have a discussion about some of the concepts around which Crest is built, and we'll talk among ourselves for a few minutes, and then we invite and encourage questions from anyone here tonight for Martha and Bill. Is this important?
Well, I think, you said at the beginning, I believe, that tourism is the biggest industry in the world. And I think that one of the things that keeps us working in this field is that it's particularly important for developing countries. Having lived in Tanzania and in Costa Rica and really saw the rise of first tourism in Tanzania, conventional tourism, where much of the money went out of the country. And Tanzania gained very little from the kind of tourism that was there in the 70s and the 80s. And then saw, when we lived in Costa Rica, the rise of ecotourism, which was kind of an anecdote, an alternative tourism that had environmental and social standards. It took many years to develop, but I think today what we have is real alternative strategies for how to do tourism well. And for countries around the world, it is that tourism, along with oil, is the biggest income generator in the poorest countries of the world, so it does matter.
And you mentioned oil. Bill, is this real as a net positive for the world and the communities in which you work? Because there are some people who say, don't travel, especially don't travel by plane, because of the carbon loading that kind of travel does, and even for the exploitation of people who wind up in the local tourism industries. So is it real? Can this really be a net positive for the world, rather than just saying, let's do this less?
It is a challenge, of course, to make it a net positive. There's the carbon cost, there are possible cultural costs and social costs. It's a time commitment from each of us. So there are many points on the cost side one could raise. We've got to be smart about it. We have to each be wise about our decisions. We need to be careful in choosing the airlines we fly. We need to be careful about destinations and go for those that are green and green certified. We need to be smart about the whole process. But there is something about this that nothing else offers. I've worked in very remote regions of the Amazon, way out beyond the end of the road. You get into a dugout, you go for 8 hours in some cases. Tourism takes people into natural areas. It's not exploitative, it's not extractive. It brings people to the site to appreciate the biological diversity and the cultural diversity of the area. So it's not an extractive, exploitative kind of enterprise. Almost all the other options are. There's cattle, gold mining, petroleum exploration, all kinds of fruit crops and so on that require clearing the forest, destroying the biodiversity, and undermining the cultural integrity of the communities. The reason this is real, Brian, I would say, is that it takes people to an authentic experience, authentic culturally, and to an appreciation of biodiversity that you can't get in a zoo or a museum.